Over the past few years, there's been a lot of successful indie games. Every other week, it feels like there's some new overnight success story made by a small independent studio or even just one guy. Wow, 18 billion people bought this game? Who made it? EA? Ubisoft? Blizzard? Nope, it was Kevin, just some guy. In 2024, 48% of Steam sales were indie, and a large portion of the AAA games were all from a handful of select huge titles. 68.46% of AAA games came from the top 10% of AAA titles, whereas the indie game sales were spread out over a large number of indie games. And for every new indie game hit, it feels like there's another story about a AAA game with multi-millions of dollars of budget that just completely flops. So that's the end of the video, right? AAA games, bad. Indie games, good. Bye-bye! Well, not exactly. Despite the troubles and the bloat of the AAA games industry right now, there's still plenty of successes out there. I mean, just look at the Nintendo Switch 2 launch, for example. There's a lot of games I'm looking forward to on that console, and I've had a lot of fun with Mario Kart World so far. Elden Ring recently was one of the best games that I've ever played. Baldur's Gate 3 was insane. I couldn't believe how in-depth and detailed it was. Is that game even AAA? Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think that is AAA. I think that is actually an indie game now that I'm thinking about it. But still, whatever. You get what I mean. I'm not saying AAA games are dead or anything. What I am saying is that if I could only play indie games for the rest of my life, like you put a gun up to my head so you can never play a AAA game ever again, I mean, I'd be bummed, I'd be sad I couldn't play like Tomodachi Life 2 or whatever when it comes out. But I mean, I'd be fine. I'd have plenty of games to choose from across tons of different genres. In fact, I realized recently most of the games I play these days are indie games, which is part of why I'm even doing this video in the first place. And most of my favorite games over the past 5 years even have been indie. Don't believe me? Let's check some of them out and maybe you'll find a game that's up your alley. Recently, a game called Schedule 1 has been popping off, reportedly selling around 5 million units, and this is old data. Compare that to the recent Assassin's Creed game by Ubisoft. It's a little hard to find exact data on this, but from what I can tell, it seems to have sold around 3 million units. It's not 5 million, but it did seem to sell pretty well regardless over all the different consoles. But considering Assassin's Creed Shadows had a budget of around $300 million, and Schedule 1 was just made by some guy named Tyler, it's not a great picture for Ubisoft. Not a great direct comparison. Schedule 1 is a game where you sell drugs. Can I even say drugs on YouTube without getting demonetized? I'm actually not sure. I guess we'll find out. The short answer is no. Thanks for your understanding. Shaggy's hit some hard times. The mystery machine blew the fuck up and Shaggy's the sole survivor. And now he's gotta do whatever it takes to survive out there on the streets. And that's gonna involve some stuff that good old Scoob wouldn't be too proud of.
Alright, I guess I'm gonna do this. Oh my god. What? She's alive?
Again, this game is insanely successful. A lot of AAA studios would kill for these numbers, and it's easy to see why. The main reason being it's insanely addictive. It's one of those games where you never run out of things to do. The more money you make, the more you spend to upgrade your drug empire, which leads to more and more drugs to make, customers to sell to, employees to keep in line.
What, you don't like that, Daniel? We got a problem? You know, you should really smile more. That's what I thought.
It's kind of like Stardew Valley, but with guns and illegal substances, and yeah, it's really not like Stardew Valley. It has that same gameplay mechanic from Harvest Moon and Stardew Valley that I've always loved, where you have to make money so that you can spend money so that you can make more money so that you can spend money so that you can make... There's no real end to it. It is, again, insanely addicting. It's very similar to another indie game that I really like called Weed Shop 3. I personally like Weed Shop 3 a little bit more, but I can see why most people seem to prefer Schedule 1. I mean, Weed Shop 3 is... what's the word I'm looking for? Ugly as hell. Just trust me, it's fun. I have hundreds of hours on this game on Steam. But other than not being insanely hard to look at, one of the ways that Schedule 1 separates itself is that selling drugs in this world is strictly illegal, which means you have to not only hide your activity from the police, you also sometimes have to, you know, do some other things. occasionally. Do what you gotta do. Having that constant threat of the law cracking down on you at any point adds a lot of excitement to it. And it seems like that's one of the things that's gonna be expanded upon the most in future updates. Schedule 1 is pretty much the epitome of a game that no AAA studio would risk investing money in. But you know, unless their name was Rockstar, I guess. And it's their loss, because this game is super fun and apparently people like it. There's been a lot of successful multiplayer indie horror games over the past few years. Phasmophobia, Lethal Company, Content Warning, and most recently, REPO. No baby. Baby, please! Oh my god!
Oh shit! Oh god!
Oh god!
No!
The closest comparison to REPO would probably be Lethal Company. I mean, you go to haunted locations, pick up valuable items, occasionally fail at picking up valuable items.
Oh!
Wow, good one.
Oh, what happened? He broke it.
What? Then you escape, dragging your friends' dead bodies across the finish line if necessary, as delicately as possible, of course. And then you spend whatever money you make on upgrades and items. But despite being similar to Lethal Company in a lot of ways, it still manages to be unique. Instead of just carrying items in your inventory like in Lethal Company, you have to actually get each individual item to the drop-off point without them breaking. And the game has a physics system which is not only a lot of fun, it's also pretty funny at times. The characters known as semi-bots have a lot of personality. I love the way their eyes move around and look at you.
Hello.
And they've even added emotions for the semi-bots.
I am so angry.
In the beta updates. The controls are also low-key really satisfying. The movement in the game feels particularly good. Running, sprinting, sliding under things in order to hide from the giant head floating by. And once you get some upgrades, the movement gets even more fun. I've personally always been a big fan of the tumble launch upgrade. Very underrated upgrade if you ask me.
Later, losers.
What?
Oh, shit.
I mean, I am the type of player who just likes to run away and not do anything useful, so if you are one of those people, try the tumble upgrade. Highly recommended. A few tumble launches, some speed upgrade, as much stamina as your teammates will let you get away with, you'll never be touched. And on top of that, in the beta, they have added a new upgrade called the Wings update, or whatever it's called. You got wings now. That just adds even more mobility. It's insane how far you can fly if you have enough tumble launch upgrades and speed upgrades. And it seems like REPO has done a pretty good job of maintaining its popularity over time. It's been months since the game came out, and their update videos still get a lot of views, and I know a lot of people I know are still playing the game, and all the constant updates are definitely helping with that longevity. REPO didn't have some huge marketing budget, it's just a genuinely funny game with a lot of clippable moments.
What the fuck?
And it got popular naturally by those clips being spread across social media. Again, it's another perfect example of the kind of game that would be very unlikely to be greenlit in a AAA environment. Alright, I hear you have a game to pitch for us. I hope it's a quadruple A open world action game with microtransactions and a season pass. No. Kill him. There's a handful of zombie games that I like. Left 4 Dead 2, Resident Evil 4, and of course I can't forget
The Typing of the Dead.
The Typing of the Dead.
Thank you for rescuing me.
But perhaps the best zombie game ever made is an indie game called Project Zomboid. What started out well over a decade ago looking like this, how archaic, eventually got a huge graphical upgrade to make it look more like The Sims 1. So how did an indie isometric zombie simulator that looks like a PC game from 2001 sell an estimated 8.3 million units? Instead of focusing on action combat like most big developers would have done, or pump millions and millions of dollars into realistic graphics, they focused on every other part of the game, specifically the realism. It's not just about killing zombies in a zombie apocalypse, it's about surviving the zombie apocalypse. And more often than not surviving. Okay, so you found some kind of weapon, you killed a few zombies, you found yourself a safe base, but before you know it, you are thirsty, hungry, tired, bored, you need to take a shit. Okay, admittedly, that last one is a mod. I pissed myself. It's basically a zombie life sim. And because of that, it really lends itself to something I enjoy in games, role-playing. When you create your character after choosing their appearance, you have to determine their skills. But you can't just pick positive traits, you also have to counterbalance them with negative traits. Sure, you can go full strength and bash some skulls in, but you're also a fat alcoholic who trips a lot.
I was drunk and I pissed myself. Okay.
Or you can be a brave, athletic adrenaline junkie, but you're also really, really dumb.
I don't even know how to read.
How about a super sneaky stealth build? Sure, you can backstab, but you're also a chain smoker who has panic attacks. Once the game finally updated to the more modern Sims 1 graphics a few years ago, the game has been insanely popular. I think it might actually be the highest selling indie game that I'm talking about in this video even. But they have continued to update it, most recently with the Build 42, which is almost complete, or it's at least partially complete. They've added so many things into Build 42 that I don't even think I could mention even close to all of them. Tons of new skills and crafting and different things like that. The lighting system is way better now. And they've even updated the physics. The doors actually slide open now instead of just popping open. You can drag the dead zombies around, build yourself a nice zombie pile. And they most recently added ragdoll physics for the zombies. Which just makes it even more fun. Driving your car around, just knocking them all over the place. And I gotta say, it just feels really, really nice to have paid for this game one time. It costs way less than a AAA game, and they keep updating it and adding all this new stuff for completely free. Something that you definitely can't say for most AAA games. I'm just gonna jump into this next one, no beating off in the bush, or however you say that. Outerwilds is one of the best, most unique games I have ever played in my life. It's basically a space adventure puzzle game, but that brief explanation doesn't even come close to doing it justice. In fact, I love this game so much that I am going to do something I don't think I've ever done before. I'm gonna give a spoiler warning. In fact, I'm gonna give 2 spoiler warnings. If you want to play this game for yourself and you want to go in completely blind, then I'll give you a little time frame here that you can skip to. But if you want to hear about the game and just to avoid the main spoiler, the main thing, then later on I'll give you another spoiler warning. I personally went into the game completely blind. I didn't know anything about it. I had just seen a few screenshots on the Steam page, basically. So I was just running around on the starting planet with absolutely no expectations, talking to all my little alien homies, and they were telling me, do not go to a place called Dark Bramble. Whatever you do not go to Dark Bramble. And so obviously I went straight to Dark Bramble. I flew my ship into this big glowing hole, which opened up to this unexplainedly massive empty space. I flew around aimlessly for a while. Basically nothing was happening until I found another glowing hole, and I decided to go into that one. I mean, nothing's happened yet at this point. What could possibly go wrong? As cool and memorable as that moment was, it was more than just a moment in the game. It was actually a puzzle, even though I didn't realize it at the time. In fact, everything in this entire game is a puzzle. A whole series of puzzles that all interconnect with each other. There's no power-ups in the game, there's no skill trees, there's no guns. You have your ship, which looks like it's held together by duct tape, and a translator to translate the messages left behind by an advanced ancient civilization known as the Nomai. That's it. Good luck, loser.
No!
But don't worry about dying or anything, because you're gonna die a lot. If not by those things, then by crashing your ship, getting crushed by a giant sand waterfall, flying into the sun, running out of oxygen. And if you don't die by any of those things, you'll die anyway. What the hell just happened? All right, I'm now gonna talk about the thing, so if you don't wanna hear about the thing, then make sure you go to this point in the video, because I am now going to talk about the main spoiler in the game. We're gonna talk about the thing. I'll give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1, too late.
That's it! That's the thing! Uh-oh.
Yes, this is a time loop game, something I've always been a fan of ever since I first played Majora's Mask. And I had absolutely no idea it was a time loop game the first time I played. In fact, the first few times the sun exploded, I was inside of a planet or building somewhere, and I had absolutely no idea what happened. It took me a while to figure it out. But I won't spoil anything else for you. I want to make sure as many people play this game as blind as possible going in. I'm serious. You should check this game out if you're even remotely interested in it. And again, I'm noticing a theme here. It's the kind of game that you wouldn't see from a AAA gaming studio. I mean, why risk doing something amazing and creative and inspiring when you could just do the same thing that every other AAA gaming studio is already doing? If there's any kind of game you could think of that could only be made by a AAA studio with a giant budget, it would be open world games. Well, apparently they can be made by indie studios too now. And not only can they be made by indie studios, they can apparently be made better. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Now, it may take a while. The time between Kingdom Come 1 and 2 was about, I think, 7 years, but it was definitely worth that wait. Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 was a realistic open-world RPG set in medieval Bohemia, which is located around this general area, I'm assuming. Look, I'm a dumb American, sue me. The first game was a little bit rough around the edges here and there, but overall, it was a great experience and I really enjoyed it. Now, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is, I don't know, one of the best games I've ever played. Like, I'm not even being sarcastic. That's something I've said a lot in this video, and I've meant it every time. You start off in a brand new area, and you are very well geared from the previous game, which means obviously something really bad is gonna happen. And boy, does it! In fact, a lot of bad things happen. You get attacked, you almost drown, you run around naked for a while.
I'm done with running.
Then you run around some more. Then you take a little tumble off the cliff, you get your ass beat up at the local tavern, and then you get put in the stocks. In fact, early on in the game, one of your quests is to wash the literal shit off of yourself because you stink so bad.
You smell!
But hey, things can only go up from here, right?
Piss off!
Again, this is an indie studio open world game, but it really doesn't feel like it is. In fact, if you didn't know that it was, you wouldn't suspect that it was. The story is insanely elaborate with a bunch of really memorable characters that all have great voice acting. The combat has directional sword play, which I always really like in a game. No more just sitting there smacking the left click button 20 times until a bandit finally dies. Sorry for the random stray there, Skyrim. I love you. But it's true. It makes the combat just feel more immersive and brutal. It feels like I really killed this guy. And that's a good thing. The open world itself is beautiful. It's almost unbelievably so at times. Wow. It really is gorgeous out here. I mean, I would play an entirely different game just inside of this world, like a medieval life sim. Like, I don't know, just a walking sim where you just walk around and look at stuff. I mean, it would be a halfway decent game. And there's just so much attention to detail, not just in the world itself, but in the actual game. I mean, early on in the game, there's a quest where two brothers kidnap this girl. I killed one of them and then went back and told the bailiff about the other brother. He told me he would handle it, so I went off on my business into other towns, kind of forgot about it. I came back later and I found the brother's body hanging from a tree. Like, oh my god, that was insane. I'd never seen a detail like that in a game before that I can think of. Another crazy detail, minor spoiler. Early on in the game, you separate from your friend, Sir Hans, who you're basically protecting. And later on in the game, you'll naturally come across him in a story mission. But he is actually out there in the world. Sir Hans is out there. And you can just stumble across his camp in some random woods. 99% of players will probably not find him and never even know that that existed in the game if they didn't hear about it in a video like this. But he is out there for the few people that do stumble across him. Meanwhile, in a AAA open world game, even a good one like Breath of the Wild, I expected Epona to be out there somewhere in the world for me to find, only to realize hours later after playing that I had to buy the amiibo. I mean, I wasn't even planning on taking a shot at Breath of the Wild right now. I love that game, but it just reminded me of it. Even Nintendo's not immune to AAA shenanigans. Epona DLC. Give me a break. Some people definitely just dislike the video for the random Breath of the Wild slander. Help me out if you agree. Give me a thumbs up. The game is insanely slow-paced, like really, really slow-paced. I've had entire sessions where I played for hours at a time and then quit to go to bed and thought after the fact, I didn't fight a single enemy. Like, I didn't do any combat whatsoever, but I was still having fun. I mean, we're talking about a game where you can manually repair your gear, manually make potions, and there's an entire skill tree dedicated to drinking. It's all fun fun, it's all immersive, and it's all stuff that basically no AAA game studio would have the balls to do. I mean, just imagine a AAA game studio investing hundreds of millions of dollars into an open world game where you could go 1 to 3 hours without ever fighting an enemy. I mean, I challenge you, please name me a game like that if it exists. I might want to try it out. I feel like when I was younger, game companies were comprised of just a bunch of nerds who really liked to make games. And I'm not saying there aren't people like that still in the AAA game studio. I mean, obviously they are. But they're so often bogged down by all these upper management people, all the people with the money, the producers, who are infinitely more interested in how much money they're gonna get back for their investment than they are on whether they have an actual fun game to play. Are we creating a new, fun, innovative experience for the players who purchase the game with their money? Yeah, no, I don't care. How are we gonna monetize it though? It feels like they care so much about creating a game with mass appeal that they forget to actually make people interested in the game at all. Like basically every game that I've talked about in this video. You wouldn't necessarily say that the game would have mass appeal, but it has a very niche appeal, and the people who like that niche, like me with games apparently, will go buy it. And then once they do, they will go and talk about it to their friends. They will go talk about it on social media. They'll go talk about it in videos like this. You gotta go play insert game here where you sell drugs or whatever. And bam, there you go. You got a successful game. I just don't understand why these companies feel like they have to go for home run after home run, AAA, quadruple A budget games. And then one of them fails and they have to shut down the entire studio and lay off like half their employees. Why not make some smaller games that are more creative? You can make 10 small budget or even AA games with some really creative ideas and you might have some huge hits on your hands. Or you could spend all your money on some generic hero shooter that nobody cares about and all of a sudden you're bankrupt. But I mean, what do I know? I'm just some idiot on YouTube. But with all that, are AAA games dead? I mean, again, obviously they're not. Despite some very high profile failures, all these layoffs and everything that you constantly hear about, AAA games are not going anywhere. Nor do I want them to, frankly. But I personally love seeing these games made by small studios or again, even just one person surpass some of these huge big money games, not just in sales, but also in cultural impact. If you made it this far, thanks so much for watching and make sure you subscribe. I've got new videos coming this year that I'm pretty excited to make, so I'll see you there.